A very good evening to you and a very warm welcome to TV47 Weekend Edition. Glad that you could join us tonight. Now tonight we take stock of how far we've come since the inception of the International Day for Older Persons. Last year we take a look at the progress we made since last year as well in terms of policy shifts, healthcare shifts, social inclusion and economic support. What progress has been made? We ask these questions on To The Point tonight. But before that, a lot has been happening in the country. There's still so much political heat in the political arena, and we will be bringing you all the details on the broadcast tonight. But first, as it is our custom right here, let's take a look at the stories making headlines tonight.
Tonight, please forgive me.
So my brother, President Ruto, if in our zeal to work, I have wronged you, please find it in your heart to forgive me.
Deputy President now seeks forgiveness from his boss. But President Ruto is still silent on Gachagua's woes. Also tonight, Deputy President seeks to fight for his survival in court if Parliament approves his impeachment.
In our courts of law, we have competent men and women. In our judiciary,
it is a beehive of activities at his current residence with his legal team. Plus, Social Health Authority portal to operationalize within 24 hours.
All registered SHA beneficiaries are entitled to free access to primary healthcare services under the Primary Healthcare Fund.
Government says prioritization will be given to the settlement of claims since the transition from NHIF began. And tension is still high in some villages in Tana River following inter-clan clashes. But police says the situation is under control.
All right, 22047 is our SMS line. We are live on our social media platforms at TV47KE on Facebook, TV47 Kenya on YouTube, and TV47 News on X. And as your feedback, my name is Anne Odida. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Rhoda Nyamai. Let's get started. Now, Deputy President Gachagua has apologized to President William Ruto should he have crisscrossed his path during his line of duty since the two took over power in 2022. And as Mike Kagwongo reports, the second in command asked Ruto, Kenyans and a member of parliament who ostensibly tabled his impeachment in parliament last week to forgive him for his wrongdoing and offer him ample time to work for Kenyans.
On any other Sunday, Deputy President Gachagua would have been on an ordinary church service. So is his wife, Pastor Dorcas Rigathi, who is frequent at the House of Grace Church in Nairobi.
In such a moment
But Sunday morning, the second family opted to host a Sunday service at his official residence in Karen, Nairobi, with his staff, his allies, and a group of church leaders. During this service, his message to his boss, President William Ruto, was clear. Please forgive me.
So my brother, President William Ruto, if in our zeal to work, I have wronged you, please find it in your heart to forgive me.
Gachagua claimed he was just thanking people who had supported him and President William Ruto to clinch power in 2022, disregarding claims that he violated National Cohesion and Integration Act.
And probably you find that in appreciating our people and the support they give the President and I, probably our utterances made you feel uncomfortable. We did not mean bad. We are simply appreciating the people who voted for us.
The impeachment motion, which seeks to remove Gachagua from office due to what its proponents claim is flagrant misbehavior and a breach of the Constitution, was filed in Parliament by Kibwezi West MP Mwengi Mutuse on Tuesday. The Deputy President also begged for pardon on behalf of his wife Dorcas Rigathi, who bemoaned being drawn into his political concerns and having her privacy violated by remarks made in public and on social media.
My spouse, in her duties for the boy child and her program, has wronged you in any way. Find it in your heart to forgive her.
When the peace of God is established up there, the peace of God is established here. So what you don't see is bigger than what you see.
In the last 5 days, Gachagua has been missing in action. Since ascending to power, this was the first time Gachagua appeared in public with his family members, including his 2 sons, who he defended against acquisition of Outspan and Treetops Lodge in November 2023. Regardless of his sincere apology to his boss and members of parliament, all eyes now shift to this august house on Tuesday as legislators gears up to disintegrate his kingdom, even as he aligned a bunch of lawyers to defend the charges against him. Mike Kagwango, TV47, Parliament Buildings, Nairobi.
Now, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has expressed confidence in the courts for his survival if the impeachment motion against him sails through Parliament. The DP has been working round the clock with his legal team to come up with a concrete argument at the courts. Moige William reports that Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja, Secretary to the Cabinet Mercy Wanjau and former KEMSA boss are among the witnesses who are likely to testify against the DP.
Rigathi Gachagua, a man fighting for his survival, and the courts seemingly to be among the remaining survival tactic for the second in command. Sunday, the former Mathera lawmaker sadly admitting it could be the only avenue and last resort of surviving the impeachment motion. Gachagua charmingly stating that he has faith in the Mother Koome-led institution to uphold and protect the will of the people.
We have competent men and women in our judiciary who I believe will uphold the Constitution, protect it with their zeal.
Sources say that the DP will table some evidence in Parliament on Tuesday when he is expected to defend himself. His lawyers and his office have been working on some of the evidence. On Saturday, seasoned lawyers led by Senior Counsel Paul Mwite were holed up at Gachagua's current residence to strategize on forming an indomitable defense for Gachagua, where evidence that may be availed in court and Parliament will include clips and pictures depicting him chairing cabinet committees, overseeing implementation of cabinet decisions, coordinating intergovernmental relations between the national government and county governments, liaison with constitutional commissions and independent offices in matters that require intervention by the national government, including budgets, policy formulation and implementations of their recommendations, coordinating the planning and supervising the implementation of development partners, funded programs and projects, overseeing public sector reforms, fight against illicit brews and drugs abuse, international assignments, partnership and drought mitigation.
The sovereignty of this country rests with the people. And the institutions like Parliament and Senate exercise that power as a matter of delegation.
However, Gachagua expressed concerns of the process being marred by unfounded allegations against him. 12 applications have been filed so far in different courts in a bid to halt the impeachment. This week, Gachagua is also set to file another case seeking the removal of his family in the impeachment motion. On October 3, Gachagua, through his legal representative, moved to court where in a petition argued that the motion for his impeachment was founded on baseless allegations.
Those who pursue me could just pursue me and allow my little brother to rest in peace.
His lawyers have also argued that the public participation process was inadequate, having been allocated 2 days, which they claim violates constitutional requirements for citizen engagement. They seek to contest all allegations against the Deputy President and pursue recusal of Moses Wetangula and his deputy Gladys Bos-Sholei from the impeachment process due to their prior public statements suggesting support for DP Gachagua's ouster. The legal team says it is also prepared to escalate the matter to the Supreme Court if necessary. With the National Assembly scheduling a special plenary session on Tuesday, October 8th, when Gachagua will appear on the floor to defend himself over the 11 allegations contained in the impeachment motion. The cases in court reflect a complex legal landscape surrounding Gachagua's impeachment, when the second in command has also made several attempts to halt the process. Mwege William for TV47 at Parliament Buildings, Nairobi.
Now, as Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua seeks his survival politically in an impeachment motion before Parliament, his boss, President William Ruto, was in charge today. However, President Ruto did avoid the ongoing impeachment politics and any political statement. In a church service at Nairobi's AIC Milimani Church today, President Ruto was accompanied by the First Lady. Instead, opposed the proposed religious organizations bill.
At the AIC Church Milimani, Nairobi, President Ruto, accompanied by First Lady Rachel Ruto, was attending the church service Sunday. And amidst the ongoing impeachment debate against his deputy Rigathi Gachagua, the head of state avoided it and any political statement surrounding it. During a media interview on the eve of the tabling of the impeachment, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua said that the motion would not go to the House without the nod of his boss. President Ruto instead assuring the religious organization will not be regulated in the country. Instead, they will be allowed to self-regulate their activities.
I want to give assurance to the church and to the religious institutions in Kenya that we will defend the right and the freedom of worship in Kenya, and it will not be compromised in whatsoever manner.
President William Ruto said the Constitution provides for freedom of worship. He noted that the proposals that are being made out there about the regulation of religious outfits are ill-advised.
I want to ask those who have ideas to allow religious leaders themselves to develop how they want to regulate themselves and how the church, how religious organizations are going to go forward. Because that was the recommendation of the task force I appointed under Reverend Mutaba Mushimi, that the religious body in Kenya will decide how they want to make sure that the freedom of worship in Kenya is protected.
The president observed that the faith community will decide on how they want the freedom of worship to be conducted. Joash Onsare, TV47.
Even after Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua apologizing to President William Ruto, members of Parliament and Kenyans, a section of political leaders from his Mount Kenya backyard are still pushing for his impeachment. The apology has elicited mixed reaction from the political class and religious leaders across the country.
Even after making an apology, a section of leaders from his backyard of Mount Kenya region are still calling for the impeachment of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. In Kajiado County, leaders led by Mbeere North Member of Parliament Geoffrey Ruku reiterated that the current stalemate has derailed development and should be dispensed as quick as possible to give the president a humble time to work for the people.
Kama wewe ni kiongozi wa kitaifa, jukumu lako na kikatiba ni kuleta viongozi na wananchi wote wa Kenya wajisikie huru na wasikie wakiwa nyumbani katika kona yoyote ile ya nchi yetu ya Kenya.
They spoke on a day that DP Gachagua and his allies were in his current residence for the Sunday. His opponents feel that Parliament should deal with the leaders who divide the country on ethnic lines, urging for the church to pray for the president and the country and accusing Gachagua of division.
Tungeomba tu murudi pamoja pale, todo kutengana kwenyu haitatusaidia. Nimeona watu wakiuliza itatupatia chakula, itatupatia madawa kwa hospitali, itatupatia nini? It is fair if you are listening to Kenyans crying from this cathedral.
Tungeomba utulivu na tungeomba watu watazamane kama wandugu na waone kama wao ni wa Kenya kwanza.
But Machakos leaders on their part have urged the church and the government to convene an urgent meeting to arrest the current political tension in the country.
The way to go is dialogue, and where it has reached, because we are seeing division from across the country.
In Kiambu, religious leaders have welcomed sentiments from Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua of calling truce and forgiveness to his boss, President William Ruto, and all political leaders, which will lower high-octane and divisive politics in the country.
Deputy President, you have done a good job. God bless you. You can call the spiritual fathers. We have the fathers, the spiritual fathers in our society, in our country, who can reconcile you so that our country can be able to go forward.
The Deputy President asked President William Ruto, Parliament and the people of Kenya to forgive him alongside his spouse, Pastor Dorcas Rigathi, if they wronged anyone in the course of execution of their duties.
Now, away from politics, the government now says that at least 12 million Kenyans have successfully registered for the Social Health Authority as of today, Sunday. More than 1,400 health facilities have also been contracted, while those registered have been assured of free access to primary healthcare under the Primary Healthcare Fund at Level 2, 3 and Select 4 health facilities, as well as emergency services in all health facilities. Listen in.
According to the Ministry of Health, over 12 million Kenyans have registered to the Social Health Authority. The government further says that 1,442 hospitals have signed contracts as of Sunday.
Of today, 6th October 2024, registered a total of 12,704,548 members into the Social Health Authority.
These numbers include the verified numbers of members who were under the defunct NHIF and who have been transitioned to the Social Health Authority. The ministry has said that all those registered are now eligible to free access to primary healthcare under the Primary Healthcare Fund at Level 2, 3 and Select 4 health facilities, as well as emergency services in all health facilities.
We've looked at our systems, we have reviewed them, and we have now reconciled together with the service providers because they are the most important stakeholders in this process.
Several patients have been complaining of being denied services following the transition, with many forced to make cash payments at the facilities. The government, however, said that all public hospitals level 2 to 6 have been contracted and are now offering services to SHA-registered beneficiaries.
All patients where NHIF had given undertaking before the 1st of October will have their bills paid by NHIF. All patients whose admission or whose procedures commenced after 30th of September will have their bills settled under the new fund SHA.
SHA portal is set to be operational within the next 24 hours and a prioritization given to the settlement of claims since the transition from NHIF began.
I've also received reassurances that in terms of your claims, that number one, the SHA portal for claiming should be up and running within the next 24 hours.
Many health facilities have experienced issues such as member identification with the new portal, pre-authorization for services and submission of claims for services provided.
Now, tension is still high in Bangali sub-county of Tana River County following the inter-clan clashes that have claimed the lives of 8 people in the last 3 days. Livestock and several houses have been burnt down so far, with the locals now calling for heightened security. However, Bangali sub-county police commander William Sadiq has promised that those involved will face legal action.
Allahu Akbar. Tension is still high in the villages of Bangale, Naningi and Kibisi grounds of Tana River County, following the inter-clan clashes that have claimed at least 8 people in the last 3 days. Hundreds of villagers have now been forced to flee homes, claiming that the attackers are using guns on them.
Hakuna waadilifu. Jana saa 7 ama saa 8 hivi ndio watu wameuliwa hapa. Watu 3 wameuawa. Mtu amejeruhiwa amepelekwa hospitali huko. Gari ya askari amekuja hapa tangu jana asubuhi, gari 3 askari amekuja hapa. Hata hajafika.
Residents now urging the government to take action against those responsible, including the instigators of the violence.
Mpaka saa hii hawa watu ambao walitenda hiyo jambo mpaka saa hii hajashikwa. Ombi letu sisi kama wakaji wa Bura, tunaomba hawa watu ndio walichochea, hawa watu ndio wahalifu.
Several houses have been burned and over 100 livestock killed. Bangali Sub-County Police Commander William Sadiq confirmed that the security situation is returning to normal, promising that those involved will face legal action.
We intend to carry out operation with intention of arresting the perpetrators, especially those who are armed with firearms. The DCI, led by the CCIO, are in the advanced stage of getting them.
Tafadhalini musimamishe hiyo maneno katika dini yetu, manake wengi wenu ni wa dini moja. Tumeambiwa ukitoa roho moja ni kama umetoa ulimwengu mzima, na ukiokoa roho moja ni kama umeokoa ulimwengu mzima. Tunaomba ndugu zetu, jamii ndugu ambao sisi tunawapenda, tafadhalini simamisheni haya. Hakuna mshindi ambaye atashinda kwa kumuua mwenzake mbele ya Mwenyezi Mungu.
Definition ya Uislamu ni peace, ni amani. Kwa hivyo Muislamu asipodumisha amani, huyo si Muislamu, kwa sababu lazima katika zile tarbia za mu'min niwe ni mtu mwenye kupenda amani.
Police are now calling for cooperation between the community and the government to address the conflicts and ensure the safety of citizens. Stanley Nyerengita, TV47.
Social reconciliation efforts in Marsabit County continue to bear fruits, with hostility among warring communities decreasing over time. Local communities have embraced peace and are now asking the internally displaced persons in the county to return to their homes. Michael Kwena reports from Marsabit that there is now a new hope in the county.
A while back, cases of ethnic conflict defined Marsabit County. However, things seem to have taken a shift positively. Through mobilizations and calls from the government to cease fire, Marsabit has become calm, and now those affected by ethnic unrests have been asked to return home due to the current stability. Golo Wario from Bubisa and his counterpart Omar Guyo from Gororokesa wants the refugees to move out of the makeshift tents and rebuild their lives once again.
Kuna wale wametoroka kutoka Marsabit, IDPs wako hapa hata Bubisa. Kama wangerudi pahali pao ya zamani ingekuwa mzuri sana.
Zamani, as 2 years ago, tuko hali mbaya, hatuwezi tembea kwa town mwenyewe, hatuwezi tembea kila mahali, hata ikienda tukitaka kwenda Moyale tunagopa njia.
The conflicts had also affected the education sector in the region, with teachers being a soft target for the attackers. For now, normalcy has returned in most parts of the county.
Siku hizi kwa sababu kuna amani, unaweza toka hapa uchukue pikipiki ufika Marsabit na urudi salama. Beleni ilikuwa ukipanda gari ya kwenda Marsabit town ilikuwa ni shida juu unaweza kufa anytime.
Caritas, a local organization working in the area through the Angaza project, has been carrying out sporting activities that targets to reconcile the rival communities living in the county.
Peace to move away from the boardrooms, peace to move away from the workshop settings, to come to the community where elders, women, children who live in these communities can participate.
Elders, women and youths from the larger Boran and Gabriel communities participated in athletics as part of the mediation process. Michael Kuena, TV47, Marsabit County.
Now, Muslim clerics now want the government to ban the use of miraa in the northeastern counties. Speaking in Nairobi, the cleric said that the plant has contributed to moral decay in the society, as Andrin Kilemi now reports.
Muslim leaders have expressed their disappointment on the action taken by the government through various acts to support and promote the miraa trade.
We declare that the promotion and funding of miraa by the government of Kenya is morally, socially, and constitutionally unacceptable. No economic gain can justify the destruction of individuals, families, and entire communities.
Speaking early Sunday, the clerics noted that miraa, also known as cat, has long been linked to severe health problems as well as serious social and economic consequences. They resolved to aggressively campaign for eradication of miraa and substance abuse through direct outreach to communities.
The government must not prioritize profit at the expense of welfare of the population.
The leaders further urged the government to develop strategies to mitigate the socio-economic impact on regions dependent on the miraa trade.
The consumption of this substance has particularly afflicted the youth, who are the future leaders of our society, leading them down a path of destruction.
The clerics further urged the government to promote strict enforcement of laws against substance abuse, including the trafficking and use of other harmful substances such as alcohol. Andrin Kilemi, TV47.
Many caregivers are still struggling with stigmatization within their communities, and as Kenya joins other countries in the world to mark World Cerebral Palsy Day, many have also been affected by the harsh economic times as they provide for their loved ones living with the condition. This story was produced by our Bungoma-based reporter, Wanji Sostin.
Cerebral palsy is one of the health complications that affects newborn babies, according to Center for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC. It is estimated that 4 children in 1,000 newborn are affected globally. In Kenya, experts estimate that 1 in 100 children live with the condition.
There are those risk factors that should have after delivery. Like, for example, if a child is delivered today and maybe develops meningitis, meningitis can cause issues with the inflammation of the brain and finally permanent brain damage.
And as the world marks Cerebral Palsy Day, we meet Margaret Kuloba, a grandmother to an 18-year-old boy living the condition in their home in Teremko Estate of Bungoma County.
Tangu wakati huo baba yake alimkataa kwa sababu yeye ni mlemavu. Akamwacha. Sasa mimi nikaona siwezi kumwacha mimi pia. Nikamchukua, sasa nachukulika na yeye tu.
Ilikuwa inifanyia operation lakini ikashindikana. Ikawa daktari wakamvuta tu. Na ikawa sasa akapata shida ya spinal cord.
Kuloba says that there are still misconceptions among communities against the disease, that cerebral palsy is a result of witchcraft and even curses.
Wengine wanasema huyu mtoto sijui ako na laana, wengine sijui ako na namna gani. Hawataka kusaidia, hata yeye hawezi kukaribiana na watoto wake. Pengine wengine wanasikia pengine ni ugonjwa ni wa kuambukiza.
The boy's mother, Eunice Kuloba, says that for 18 years she has never had any support from her husband, claiming that he denounced his own child.
Baba yake hizi nisaidia chochote. Hata aniongeleshi.
Tulienda paka hata kwa child welfare, hata wakamshika wakamweka ndani. Bila alitoka ndani akatoroka kabisa kaenda.
A few meters from Kuloba in Elvio Estate is Esther Chebet, who is also a caregiver. Her son is now 6 years old.
Nina mtoto ambaye alizaliwa na shida, hakulia, alipozaliwa akawa amekunywa maji inaitwa meconium.
The caregivers are still struggling with the high cost of medication for cerebral palsy, urging the government to intervene.
Ugonjwa wa typhoid huwa kila mara inanishika kwa sababu na akienda choo yeye anaenda tu kama amekaa tu hapo. Sasa kuosha hiyo nguo yake bila gloves, hatuna pambasi, hatuna sabuni, sasa hatuna chiki.
Madawa yenyewe ni expensive, like Epilim ni 2,300 kwa saizi. Na mtoto wanatumia hiyo dawa asubuhi na jioni.
Stigmatization and mental health issues such as stress, anxiety and depression are major challenges that cerebral palsy caregivers go through in the country.
Thank you, Sostin, for that. Now, maternal mortality rates are alarmingly high, with the postpartum hemorrhage PPH as a leading cause. This condition occurs when a woman loses at least 500 milliliters of blood within 24 hours after childbirth. Without immediate medical care, it can be fatal. In Kenya, PPH accounts for 40% of maternal mortality cases. However, several organizations are working diligently to address these issues, as Anastasia Mukabi reports.
Every mother hopes for a smooth journey after childbirth. Tragically, many have lost their lives due to complications, with postpartum hemorrhage being a leading cause. This condition occurs when a mother loses at least 500 milliliters of blood within the first 24 hours after delivery. According to the United Nations Population Fund, this affects approximately 5% of all women giving birth. In Africa, PPH accounts for 30 to 50% of maternal deaths. In Kenya, the situation is critical. About 9 to 10% of deliveries result in the loss of 14 expectant mothers every month. According to the Ministry of Health, mothers are at greater risk of dying during childbirth, often have inadequate iron levels in their body.
A number of our women, because of food insecurity, because they don't even receive the iron supplements, they have anemia going into labor and into delivery. And so with this, if that woman bleeds, they will have a complication because of postpartum hemorrhage.
Regions with the highest mortality rates due to PPH include Tana River, Garissa, West Pokot, Elgeyo Marakwet, Machakos, Homa Bay, Siaya, Wajir, Kilifi, Murang'a, Makueni, Migori, and Turkana. In an effort to raise awareness about PPH, doctors have emphasized that the urgent need to educate the community on mitigating the deaths of mothers caused by this condition.
A lot of times people think it's because of the medicine that is not there, but a lot of times it's because it's no political will. There is no investment in the road network, for example. There could be no investment in even women having that money to actually buy those life-saving drugs, or even just having the agency, the knowledge to know what is it that I need to do to prevent postpartum bleeding.
According to Health Cabinet Secretary Deborah Barasa, the Enhanced Linda Mama program specifically addresses complications like PPH to protect maternal health.
The Enhanced Linda Mama, which is under the Social Health Authority, actually covers these a lot of resources that are being given to ensure that mothers are addressed and the delivery of mothers is well and safe.
Anastasia Mukabi, TV47, Nairobi.
All right, 30 minutes past the top of the hour. That report by Anastasia Mukabi is taking us to a very fast short break right here at TV47 Weekend Edition. Stay tuned.
Hey there friends,
Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in? I was number 2. What position were you? Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism, how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m.
All right, welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. You're watching TV47 Weekend Edition. Let's continue with our coverage. And now, Mount Kenya University today signed a memorandum of understanding with the Gimcheon University of South Korea, a step that aims to foster sharing and developing high-quality studies in both universities. Speaking during the event that was held at International Youth Fellowship headquarters in Nairobi, Mount Kenya University Vice-Chancellor Professor Deogracius Jakanyi lauded the agreement, amplifying how it will catapult MKU's aim of offering high-standard skills and training to students. These thoughts were echoed by Hai Jin Lee, who is in charge of international relations at Gimcheon University.
We are here to be able to formalize our association or collaboration with Gimcheon University. And this is a collaboration that will really be able to bring us to collaborate in the areas of the dental technology, medical laboratory, nursing, and the maritime studies. We recently launched the Maritime Academy in Malindi, and we are going to be able to collaborate with this South Korean university to be able to enhance those activities. So this for us is really a collaboration that brings in another partner that we really need to be able to advance those areas of collaborations.
MKU도 케냐에서 보건 부분에 아주 좋은 학교로 다 알고 있는데
And also MKU is a university that is a school well known for its nursing studies.
서로 한국의 기술을 협력하고 서로 배우게 된다면 더 좋은 학생들을 양성할 수 있을 것입니다.
If we could associate in the parts of learning the techniques, cultures, and like this, then I believe that we will strengthen the connection and therefore learn even more.
All right, let's take a look at what's happening in the world of sports.
Sports news brought to you.
Hey there friends, welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in? I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m. The Grind, where business meets brilliance. It's not just about the ideas.
I was working as a shampoo boy. I used to wash clients' hair on the sink.
It's about making them happen. From big wins.
In primary school, when we would be asked what people want to be, I was categorical that I want to be a nurse.
To hard lessons.
The consoles change, the gaming equipment keep changing.
We cover it all. Tune in to The Grind, where every episode is packed with insights.
The person who is serving customers, always be a customer-centric.
Strategies.
When you pay attention to detail, you get luxury items.
And stories to fuel your ambition. Don't just dream it, grind it. Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Jiunge nasi tunapoangazia safari za viongozi bora. Kutoka kwa ushindi mkubwa hadi masomo magumu.
Wakati wetu kwamba wasichana si wa kusoma, ni wa kuolewa, ng'ombe ipatikane, wazazi wakuwe watajiri.
Tunashughulikia yote.
I wish I were a better investor.
My parents taught me how to look for things for myself.
Tazama Mfahamu Kiongozi, ambapo kila kipindi kimejaa maarifa, mikakati na hadithi za kukuza azma yako.
For me to succeed, I have to fight.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30.
Hey there, friends. Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in? I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
You're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m. The Grind, where business meets brilliance. It's not just about the ideas.
I was working as a shampoo boy. I used to wash clients' hair on the sink.
It's about making them happen. From big wins.
In primary school, when we would be asked what people want to be, I was categorical that I want to be a nurse.
To hard lessons.
The consoles change, the gaming equipment keep changing.
We cover it all. Tune in to The Grind, where every episode is packed with insights.
The person who is serving customers, always be a customer-centric.
Strategies.
When you pay attention to detail, you get luxury items.
And stories to fuel your ambition. Don't just dream it, grind it. Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Jiunge nasi tunapoangazia safari za viongozi bora. Kutoka kwa ushindi mkubwa hadi masomo magumu.
Wakati wetu kwamba wasichana si wa kusoma, ni wa kuolewa, ng'ombe ipatikane, wazazi wakuwe watajiri.
Tunashughulikia yote.
I wish I were a better investor.
My parents taught me how to look for things for myself.
Tazama Mfahamu Kiongozi, ambapo kila kipindi kimejaa maarifa, mikakati na hadithi za kukuza azma yako.
For me to succeed, I have to fight.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30.
Hey there, friends. Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in? I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m. The Grind, where business meets brilliance. It's not just about the ideas.
I was working as a shampoo boy. I used to wash clients' hair on the sink.
It's about making them happen. From big wins.
In primary school, when we would be asked what people want to be, I was categorical that I want to be a nurse.
To hard lessons.
The consoles change, the gaming equipment keep changing.
We cover it all. Tune in to The Grind, where every episode is packed with insights.
The person who is serving customers, always be a customer-centric.
Strategies.
When you pay attention to detail, you get luxury items.
And stories to fuel your ambition. Don't just dream it, grind it. Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Jiunge nasi tunapoangazia safari za viongozi bora. Kutoka kwa ushindi mkubwa hadi masomo magumu.
Wakati wetu kwamba wasichana si wa kusoma, ni wa kuolewa, ng'ombe ipatikane, wazazi wakuwa watajiri.
Tunashughulikia yote.
I wish I were a better investor.
My parents taught me how to look for things for myself.
Tazama Mfahamu Kiongozi, ambapo kila kipindi kimejaa maarifa, mikakati na hadithi za kukuza azma yako.
For me to succeed, I have to fight.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30.
Hey there, friends. Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in? I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m. The Grind, where business meets brilliance. It's not just about the ideas.
I was working as a shampoo boy. I used to wash clients' hair on the sink.
It's about making them happen. From big wins.
In primary school, when we would be asked what people want to be, I was categorical that I want to be a nurse.
To hard lessons.
The consoles change, the gaming equipment keep changing.
We cover it all. Tune in to The Grind, where every episode is packed with insights.
The person who is serving customers, always be a customer-centric.
Strategies.
When you pay attention to detail, you get luxury items.
And stories to fuel your ambition. Don't just dream it, grind it. Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Jiunge nasi tunapoangazia safari za viongozi bora. Kutoka kwa ushindi mkubwa hadi masomo magumu.
Wakati wetu kwamba wasichana si wa kusoma, ni wa kuolewa, ng'ombe ipatikane, wazazi wakuwa watajiri.
Tunashughulikia yote.
I wish I were a better investor.
My parents taught me how to look for things for myself.
Tazama Mfahamu Kiongozi, ambapo kila kipindi kimejaa maarifa, mikakati na hadithi za kukuza azma yako.
For me to succeed, I have to fight.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30.
All right, welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. It's time for To The Point. And our conversation tonight will be on International Day for Older Persons, which was commemorated on the 1st of October, that was this Tuesday. And our To The Point aspects tonight will be policy implementation and social protection, healthcare access and support, inclusion and participation. Now, the International Day for Older Persons, as you can see on your screen, was adopted on December 1990 by the United Nations. and was officially flagged off on the 1st of October 1991, while the United Nations came up with a couple of resolutions that were aimed to recognize the significant contributions of older persons to society and to raise awareness of the opportunities and challenges associated with aging populations globally. Let's take a look at the key resolutions according to the UN. These resolutions were meant to acknowledge the key points. They were meant to acknowledgement of older persons' rather contributions, promotion of aging-related issues, encouragement for international collaboration, as well as alignment with the Vienna International Plan on Aging. Now, our guests are already in studio. Just right next to me is Michael Kanyingi Kimoho, the founder of Mikop Kenya, as well as a geriatric care trainer. We have Gisebe Yvonne Kinanga, the only lady, okay, we are two now, the only lady between the gentlemen. Gisebe is the co-director of Ukongwe Foundation, Ukongwe Bora Foundation, and we have Aboro Titus, head of programs, Aging Concerns Foundation. Now, Michael, I'll just start with you now that you fall next, right next to me. 33 years later, how are we doing as a country in terms of ensuring that the older ones, our senior citizens, are well taken care of in the society?
Yeah, one, I'll commend where Kenya is right now, because the International Day of Older People is an international day where the whole world is supposed to commemorate issues of older persons. And as is said, there is a lot that needs to be done. 33 years ago, Kenya did not have any platform for the issues of older persons. Until later, after 2010, is when things started burning up about the issues of older persons. I commend people who worked with us, Help Age Kenya, and other organizations. We agitated the government to look at issues of older persons. And we also realized that most of the policymakers did not know about the Vienna International Plan of Action for Aging, or even the Madrid Plan of Action, International Plan of Action for Aging. And it was a real task to actually educate them. But so far, so good. Quite a lot has been done, especially on issues of cash transfer and social protection. But we still need to do quite a lot, especially when it comes to issues of care and support. If you look at the theme for this year's International Day of the Older People, is aging with dignity and the importance of strengthening care and support system worldwide.
We'll be getting into that later on. But,
And I think we have done quite a bit. Yeah.
Yvonne, from Ukongwe Bora perspective, how are we doing as a country 33 years later?
I think we're doing much better. As Ukongwe Bora, what our main goal is bridging that intergenerational gap between the older persons and the younger people. I think in terms of the older persons and the younger people, we're starting to go a bit far, because you remember back then, community was a very strong pillar in the society, and the young people understood the value of the older people in society. They understood the value of the older persons. And I feel like now that we are starting to grow apart from that community background, I feel like we're starting to go back, but that is what Ukongwe Bora is willing to do. It's willing to bridge that gap, to bring the elderly and the young people together, to show the young people that we need these older people in our society, that we need to respect them, and we need us as the younger people to care for them most importantly. So far, so good. I think we still have so much to do.
Do you get good feedback from these younger people in terms of trying to create this intra-generational?
Yeah, of course. The feedback is good. I think now for us as Ukongwe Bora, our goal is to actually bring the young people. Some of them might not know that this is an issue that we have, and that's our goal, to bring them together so that we can tell them, guys, we need to help our older people, our older generation in this way or any other way that they might need.
All right, Titus, you are celebrating the International Day for Older Persons in Western, if I'm not wrong. 33 years later, how are we doing?
Yeah, I think I'll agree with the rest of my colleagues. We've made some good steps. And if I look at it from the community level, we have had a lot of older persons organizations that are emerging and continue to emerge, advocating for the rights of older people. We have institutions of older persons spread across the country in different counties. Aging Concern Foundation is one of them. And we have managed to come up with what we call OPS, Older Persons Associations. And these are just groups of older people where they come to engage, interact, and of course have a way of advocating for their own issues. We believe in the principle of nothing about older people without older people. And therefore, creating platforms where they can talk about their issues is a step that we can talk about as a country. But looking at it at the national level, just this year, there's a proposal for us to have a law for older people, which I think is at the center of it all. We need...
That is the Social Protection Bill, right?
No, it's the Older Persons, the Older Persons Bill, 2024.
Okay.
We participated in it. Public participation was arranged across the country. We took part in it as civil society. And I think that is a great step, because we need a law that can comprehensively protect the rights of older people. So if that sees the light of day, that will be a major milestone. But even going beyond what the national government is doing to other actors in the space of older people, we are here now because of resolution number 4, creating collaborations. If you looked at the resolutions when IDOP was adopted, resolution number 4 was supporting collaborations, and to have the media invite civil society organizations to talk about IDOP is a step. I mean, older people's issues are going to be discussed today. Some people will read about it, others will watch about it. So that's a great step when it comes to advocacy. And even going beyond local actors, looking at the regional conversations that are happening. Kenya is among the many African countries that have signed and deposited to Addis Ababa the Africa Union Protocol to the African Charter on the Rights of Older People. Great milestone. And so probably I'll talk a little bit more about what has been done in social protection, because there are some really good steps there as well.
All right, we will be getting deeper into that too.
Yes.
All right, but speaking of bills, Yvonne, I understand that last year you, together with your team, you submitted a bill in Parliament, or you are pushing for a bill that was going to create centers for...
I think that is still, that's what Titus said, that it's one of the steps that we are championing towards to actually bring this bill into place. That bill was redefined, we looked into it, we saw what we could take, what we could take out, and I think also other players came into the whole step, and they all came with ideas. So I feel like we still have that to see if it will come into place, but it will be a good idea to have public homes, public funded homes for the elderly.
All right. Michael, do we have these elderly persons home in the country as we speak? And how many?
We have quite a number of private homes. And we also have the government-funded model home in Kirinyaga, in Moya, which is actually meant to be a sort of rescue home for older people. Most of the homes that are there now, most of them are funded by the churches, and others are very private. We have one just across here near Ruda, which is actually apartments for older persons where they live in a community. But we still need to look at the way we are formulating the issues of older persons' homes. one question we need to ask ourselves, do we need to strengthen the home care system more, or do we need to look at issues of building more homes? And the buck stops with the older persons themselves. Because as I usually say at MICOP level, we believe that older people need to participate in their own issues. They need to make decisions. And we cannot pick people because they are old and take them to the homes if they don't want. So we still need to look at, before increasing the homes, how are those ones that are there doing? There is a lot of controversy over some of them where older people are being killed. And that is one home or two. But we have not done enough research to see what is happening to the others. But at least we have homes where we can take our older persons.
All right, there's something that I need us to react to. But in hindsight, the International Day of Older Persons was established to advocate for the rights and well-being of the elderly and to foster appreciation for their contributions to sustainable development. Simon, if you can cue that bite for us.
Mimi ni mwalimu, nimestaafu na miaka 72. Mpaka sasa sijapata pesa za inua jamii ambazo zimenisaidia kutatua matatizo yangu ya kwenda hospitali na nini.
Kwanza hali ya mwili si sawa, na hata mankuli tuseme hali nkauka. Misaada tutokea huko, hata Pagariseni kuna watu wanapewa misaada, hata majirani hapa wapiti. Tunasikia habari watu wanapewa chakula, lakini hayo ni shauri yao. So wanajua, lakini kuna ubaguzi fulani. Watu fulani wana haki, watu fulani wana haki, hata huyo hapati. Kwa hivyo tuna ubaguzi, tunabaguliwa.
Well, now, while those are only two elderly persons who have talked about the challenges that they're facing, including discrimination, some are saying they're hungry, but how many elderly persons have not come up to talk about the challenges that they're facing? A reaction to that, Michael?
Quite a number of older people are being victimized. They are going through a lot of challenges because of discrimination. But as organizations as we are, Titus, myself, and Yvonne, and the others who are not in this scene, we are doing quite a lot to see whether we can pick up those ones who are really needy and also get enough evidence to tell the government this is what is happening. These ones are talking about food. There are more older people in Kilifi and Kisii who are not sleeping because they fear they may be killed at night. So the issue of discrimination, the issues of violence on older people is rife, especially in Kenya. But we are not really going to blame Kenya as a state only. I represent older people at the global level. A co-chair of the General Assembly of Partners for Older Persons at the UN Habitat. And these are some of the things that come out in most of the countries.
Titus, a reaction to those sentiments?
Yeah, ageism, we call it ageism, discrimination on the basis of age. It is there. We cannot say it is not there. But then for me, looking at the role that we play as civil society, which essentially is to identify areas of inequality, okay? And earlier on I talked about community groups, which are really good areas and platforms for conducting advocacy on issues of age discrimination. When it comes to the older persons cash transfer, a lot has been done. I don't know how old the video is, but looking at...
It's as old as today.
It's as old as children.
Yes.
Looking at some of the steps that has been done to make OPCT more accessible and served with dignity, before, older persons would get this money after almost 8 months or so. And some of the great advocacy efforts of some of the older persons organizations in this country was towards predictability, making it predictable. That by the end of the month, an older person knows they will get some 2,000. However small it is, let it be predictable. And we managed to achieve that. Now, there are other comments and feedbacks that are coming in terms of what needs to be improved. And I think those are necessary for us to receive those kinds of feedback, sit together with our ministry, the Ministry of Labour and Social Protection, and see what can be addressed. I know right now the government is working on digitizing access to OPCT and many other efforts that might not be communicated already. But then that is really where we come in as civil society, you as media. We need this information to be able to realign and redesign our advocacy so that our conversations with the government, because we have a lot of those conversations through the ministry and through their county structures. They have a very elaborate county structures. There's a county coordinator for social development. At the very lower level, we have the social development officers. We have a lot of conversations with them in different platforms at the national level, at the community level, during such International Elderly Days. And therefore, we need this kind of information really to influence, because it is them who can take action. For us is to disseminate as much as possible.
All right. Yvonne, do you agree that a large number of elderly persons, we've only seen 2, are still living below the poverty line in their areas?
100%. I do agree with that. Looking at the state of the older persons, even in counties like Kilifi and Kisii, where we see elder abuse is more prominent, even their standards of living is very low. And I think this is one of the issues that brings about the elder abuse. The lack of enough money, the lack of enough, or even sources of them to make money due to their age and what we would call ageism, the age discrimination. Yes.
Now, Titus, Michael mentioned that the buck stops with the elderly. But do you think that these elderly people are really given a chance, an opportunity to air their views on matters that are most affecting them?
There are opportunities for older people to air their views.
But are they given to them?
I talked about nothing about us without us. Right now, older persons have been given an opportunity to talk about International Day of Older Persons. Michael is an older person. I have interacted with him many times. Yvette represents an older persons organization. I represent an older persons organization. So those are opportunities to represent the views of older persons. Again, I think that we must also appreciate some of the national priorities, all right? And even if, I mean, look at it broadly. Africa is perceived to be a youthful continent, you know. It's a continent of young people. And what that has also done is that a lot of investments, including opportunities to hear from these groups, has been directed to the youthful population. And maybe that is where probably our senior citizens are somehow left behind, because a lot of effort is towards the youthful population. And this is not a competition at all. We believe in the principle of equality. We believe in sustainable development goals, which says that leave nobody behind. And therefore, including older persons in every conversation is definitely key.
All right, I want us to take a look at the social protection access for older persons in Kenya, a comparison between 2023 and 2024. Now, in 2024, approximately 26% of older persons in the country are accessing social protection programs, and this is according to the Social Assistance Bill 2024 and recent reports, of course, from Help Age International. And as of 2023, access was at 20%. That is a 6% increase compared to last year. Well, 6 is quite notable, however little that could be. But what are really the factors that are contributing to such an increase? 20% and then 26% in 2024. Michael?
We had the mass registration of older persons cash transfer last year. And the number increased from 833,000 to 1.2. And because of that legislation, we had that increase. Older people are also getting some knowledge, some awareness about registration. We have also removed the barriers that were there before. Before 2023, the registration was done by the chiefs and other administration staff. And I can say this without fear of contradiction, that most of the people who are getting cash transfer then were relatives of the chiefs and the who is who, until there was mass registration. But we still need to look at 6% increase. We can sing something home about that, but we still have a long way to go. When you have 26% of 100% older persons, then we need to do quite a lot about that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yvonne, do you agree?
I agree we have a lot to do. I think with 6% increase, it's still a bit little considering all the older people that we have to reach to. Some of the problems that we are facing or the government might be facing in increasing that percentage might not necessarily be due to the shortfalls of the government, but maybe even some of the problems that are actually facing the elder people in their own homes, in terms of their health, in terms of how are they able to walk to maybe where they need to register themselves and things like that. So I feel like we still have a lot of time for us to come up with ways that we can reach to every single one of the elderly people, and I think that is very possible. Yes.
Titus, of course, we still have a very big gap right here to fill. What needs to be done?
Yeah. Even before I talk about what needs to be done, looking at the previous question on why the increase.
All right.
I did mention organizations of older people emerging, and these are emerging trends that we must recognize. And so there's a lot of lobbying that is happening at the ground level. And this is really bringing a lot of older persons to the limelight. So that level of advocacy, when we conduct the World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, International Women's Day in March, the International Day of Older Persons, some of the key people or stakeholders that we push to participate with us are government representatives. And so therefore they're able to hear from older persons themselves, okay? And that has really, really triggered them to act in favor of older people. But then again, this increase can also be attributed to the commitment by the President of the Republic of Kenya. I was in attendance of the 2023 Social Protection Conference at the Kenya School of Government. And while we were there, the President made a commitment to increase coverage, all right? There was a commitment by the President. And to a great surprise of many, that was implemented, all right? And so, again, that government the commitment really helped in terms of just committing to raise the number of people getting enrolled and actually going ahead to enroll them. But again, finding that older persons are already into organized groups really made it easy. What needs to be done? I don't think we have sufficient information really on who has not been enrolled. The data that is there, it is really not disaggregated. And if we can be able to disaggregate that data such that we know which age groups are qualified for these programs and they are not in. But then, just going a little bit deeper on the issue of data, we also have Michael alluded to it. I would call it corruption. Before, if you didn't know the chief or if you didn't know the village elder, chances of you getting enrolled would be negligible. And so if we could have a closer relationship with our local administrators so that they treat everyone who is qualified for these programs to be enrolled into those programs. But then the other thing maybe I can just mention as I close is how do we get people enrolled? If registration is being done into the social protection platform that is available for the country this month, and I am 69 years old, okay, and some 11 months, I will not be registered. However, next month, I will have qualified for registration, but I will not be registered because it is not periodic. So what more probably needs to be done is to make this as periodic as possible. And we had a conversation with our PS, Mr. Montari, earlier during the public participation for the bill. And some of the proposals he made was the periodic enrollment of older persons into the social protection mechanism that is there in the country. It has to be periodic.
All right, I want us to take a look at something that is not talked much about, and it's good that Michael is here. That is geriatrics. People don't really know what this is in broader length. A medical specialty focused on providing care for the unique health needs of the elderly. And a report from my research, we have very few geriatricians in the country. But why is this the case, Michael?
Thank you for that good question. I expected it to come out because this is a very, very important area. You are right. We have less than 5 geriatric specialists in Kenya. But one area that we are failing is because the government itself believes that when you have NCD specialists and non-communicable diseases specialists, they will act as geriatricians. And that is wrong. There is a very big difference between non-communicable diseases treatment and geriatric medicine. Issues of geriatric medicine is understanding older people. And I always, in my own way, I always say that patients don't live in books. So when you talk about issues of treatment, there are those dynamics that an older person who has arthritis goes through when a younger person also goes through arthritis. Both of them will be treated by NCD specialists. So what we need to do is to have the government commit itself, as it is indicated in the African Charter for the Rights of Older People, that they should take steps to increase the training of geriatric specialists and geriatricians. If I use my example, I did healthcare management in India. When I came back here, I would not fit in any job description. And it has been happening with geriatricians. Most of the geriatricians you know have done sports. They have not, most of them have not done geriatrics straight.
Interesting. Interesting, interesting. I want us to take a look now, because time is not on our side. I want us to take a look at a comparison between NHIF and the new health, the new funding scheme, that is SHA. By the way, SHA promises a proper geriatric care, but from a coverage scope, basic outpatient and inpatient services was available in NHIF. There was limited coverage for chronic diseases, particularly for those in private facilities. There wasn't comprehensive geriatric care package, but in SHA, there is a comprehensive outpatient and inpatient services under the Primary Healthcare Fund and SHIF, that is the Social Health Insurance Fund. And SHA also promises specialized geriatric care, including screenings for common age-related conditions, including hypertension, diabetes, and specific cancers. It also offers free consultations, lab tests, and medications for registered older persons. Of course, there's so much more under SHA that promises better for the older persons. But do you think that this is really sustainable, Titus, as we wind up?
I would not wish to have or to make any comments with this transition. On paper, I have seen a lot of government policies, so many. The question is always on implementation. On paper, the rollout and the transition is very ambitious. It is very promising. I am a champion for healthy aging. I believe in universal health coverage that is fit for an aging population. And all of what I believe in when it comes to healthy aging and UHC are captured in this transition. My question is the level of implementation. There's a famous Kenyan word, on the ground things are different. And so this looks very ambitious on paper, but really I would shift my focus on the level of implementation that will happen. It has a lot of promises for senior citizens. If implementation will be above average, it is good for senior citizens.
All right. Yvonne, are we over-ambitious with this SHA?
I don't say we're being over-ambitious, but as Titus has said, we shall see.
We shall see.
We shall see. If the implementation is good, well and good. If it actually goes well, then yeah.
Michael, I saw you nodding in agreement when I was reading these benefits that are in SHA at the moment. Would you say that it is a plus for the elderly persons in Kenya?
I'll give a clap for what they have done. At least the ones who have got the NCDs may get covered. But here, the last point there, we have put the cart before the horse. We do not have the geriatricians. So when you talk about comprehensive geriatric care package,
right,
we'll be cheating ourselves. So they'll go to hospital and get treated just like any other person. But the real specialty is not. Yeah, but it's a good step.
All right, due to the interest of time, gentlemen and a lady, we beg to close it at this point. Of course, there's so much we would have touched, including, as you can see, there's still so much chronic diseases management, NHIF and SHA comparison. But I'm hoping that we can have this conversation later on in broader length. Thank you so much for making time. This is To The Point and Karibuni Tena. Thank you so much for watching. That brings us to the end of our bulletin tonight. My name is Anne Odida. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Rhoda Nyamai. Do have yourself a good night.